I'm Jess Connolly, and you are listening to the Go and Tell Gals podcast. We exist to equip and encourage kingdom women who are using their God-given gifts for the good of others and the glory of God. If you are a mom, a student, an artist, a doctor, we are hoping that this episode will leave you encouraged and ready to run. We're so glad you're here. Let's go. Hello, friends. It's Jess and Emily here, and this is a big episode. This is our last episode of 2023 spring season. We are talking a little bit about summer today. We're talking a little bit about Summer to Thrive, and really this is our summer send-off to you. So we're going to tell you some things about our summer, some things we're praying for your summer, but we also have a huge announcement at the end of this episode. So please listen. I'm actually really excited.
I was thinking about this all week, and I was
Same.
I can't wait to tell.
I can't wait to tell either. I've been excited about it all week long. Oh, I love it. Okay, take a deep breath. Let's dive in and get ready to send each other well off this summer. Guess who's back? Back again. It's the Summer to Thrive guide. We've been putting out this PDF guide for women to walk through and process how they intentionally want to feel after their summers are over, what they want to accomplish, what memories they want to capture, what they want to do, how they want to rest. We've been putting it out for years and years and years. And this year, hard left turn, it's free. We're giving it away for free. We love you. We bless you. We want to just send you to process all of this information, helping you think through your margin, your spiritual disciplines, your personal obligations that need to keep happening during the summer. We want to help you make a strategy, embrace the transition, embrace the fun, embrace a little analog time. And this entire guide is yours for free. You can find it at the link in our show notes or at goandtellgals.com or anywhere on our social media. It's time to thrive this summer. All right. So, our Summer to Thrive guide, we've sold it every year for the past, 6-7 years. This year it's free because we just wanted to make it easy for everybody. Let's just give it away. Let's just help the ladies. And it is an incredible PDF that really just helps you walk through your summer, what you need, what you want, what you're doing, what kind of memories you want to make. And so utilizing the Summer to Thrive guide, my first question for both of us is, having already walked through the guide, what's one shift you want to make in summer 2023?
Such a good question. Yeah. Okay. So as I'm looking through, I even was on a walk the other day and I was like, one big thing I want to make a shift in is my summer spiritual disciplines.
Ooh,
because everything
good.
I feel like just goes out the window with summertime. I mean, I'm in my 20s and school does not have anything to do with my life in any way, shape, or form. I'm not a teacher. I don't have kids that go to school. But it's so funny how it's ingrained in my head of change of school, school's out for summer.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I think
it's just lives forever. It lives forever.
It's just life.
Yeah.
But I think with that is I live into a little bit of I sleep in a little bit too late or that kind of mentality. But a big thing I wanted to keep my spiritual discipline in terms of praying.
Yeah.
And praying for people. I've mentioned this probably in past podcasts, but I'm such a thinker. So I'll be thinking about 20 different people a day and they're just thoughts.
Yeah.
And I think I want to take it the next step too and just be praying over them.
I love it.
And creating a habit in my head that kind of triggers that movement.
Yeah.
I just think we talk about all the time is prayer changes things. And instead of the whole worrying about all these people or worrying about things or even just they could be good thoughts about someone. And I'm I can take it further and pray for them.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
So good. Okay, here's mine. So obviously I've utilized this guide for years upon years upon years. But when I went through it this year, I got to page 11. And I love page 11 because it says what's worked. And really it's asking what's worked in summers past for you? What routines, what hobbies or activities, what outfits, recipes, hairstyles, or habits have worked well in the past? And honestly, I had forgotten to kind of to prepare and to put some of these things back into my life for the summer. And so my most honest two things that have worked really well for me in the past is number one, wearing my hair in long braids, like long pigtaily braids, like French braided pigtails, and quieting my house for the summer. So those are 2 things that I've done in summers past that actually have changed my life. And so after I did Summer to Thrive this week, yesterday, like for my workout class, I put my hair in 2 long braids and I wore it like that all day. And I was like, gosh, this really changes the game for me in the summer because it keeps my hair a little healthier when I'm like going like beach, errands, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know, it's just easy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see me this summer,
yeah,
I'm going to be in braids.
It looks good too.
And it doesn't look bad.
No, it looks great.
Like even out to dinner, I've actually done it twice, like out to dinner. Like one time with like a fancy hat, and then last night, like on a date with Nick, I just wore the like French braided pigtails.
It looks so good.
They were great.
You wore it to your mom's birthday.
Yeah.
I thought so. I was like, your hair looks great.
And then the other one is quieting my house. And so I'm doing that next week. And what that looks like for me, how I do that for the summer, I've already actually started to do it. But number one, I don't buy any more flowers for the inside of my house because it's summer and they're going to wilt and we're going to go out of town and blah, blah, blah. But we put up all our like cozy blankets. And I think actually this year I'm going to put up my throw pillows too. It like for me, when all my kids are in the house all summer, the house has to be a little quieter for me to have peace. But also it reminds me like the function of the house is different. It's not necessarily like cozy pile up and watch a movie, and those are just like easy things that like, okay, they're not going to get sand on them. They're not going to get dirty. I'm not going to ask the kids to pick up the blankets 16 times a day.
Yeah.
Just things like that. And I just need it a little quieter so I don't feel overwhelmed. And then things like I move all our beach towels to a more accessible place. Things like that, just to kind of like prepare so everything's simple. I put sunscreen in a really accessible place in our house, etc. So that is what Summer to Thrive is helping me remember, like, oh, that's worked in the past. I need to do that again. Okay, my second question for you, Em, is what's one thing you're hopeful for this summer? What's one hope you have for this summer?
Yeah, can you go first?
I'll go first. So I started creating the Summer to Thrive guide all those years ago because I was a person who hated spontaneity and a lack of rhythms. And I loved the school year or like, the more standard summer, not non-summer months because I loved the rhythm of them and the routine of them. And I hated the lack of routine. And what's interesting is since I made Summer to Thrive guide, my summers have only gotten weirder and crazier and less rhythmic. Mm-hmm. And I thought that summer 2022 was the wildest, weirdest summer I would ever have. And when I look at the calendar, summer 2023, I'm like, oh, it's nothing. Like 2022 is nothing compared to 2023. Mm-hmm. It's a really wild summer. There's very little normalcy. Nothing feels normal. But so my hope for the summer is that honestly, I will be more equipped to handle a lack of the bigger rhythms because I have smaller rhythms in my life. So I'm not going into the office Monday through Friday, like even church, like Nick and I are like not teaching a lot for almost 2 months. Yeah. We have different people teaching at Bright City. And like, even that, I'm like, that sounds like, oh, what a relief, but it like feels disorienting to me. And so I'm like, okay, but the smaller rhythms, the like waking up and doing my gratitude practice with the Lord, reading the Bible, stretching before I go to bed. My hope is that the smaller daily rhythms will really help me feel more equipped. And so far, going into the summer, I actually don't feel intimidated by the months ahead for the first time in my entire life at all.
That's so good.
Yeah.
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 That's good.
Yeah.
I love that. I will say the difference is too, you have home base this summer.
Yeah. I'm not moving out of my house.
Yeah. That was like a little bit insane last year. So like you do have,
honestly, that was a lift.
Yeah. You have an anchor.
Yeah. I can actually go home.
Yeah. I feel like that's big.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. So one thing I'm hopeful for this summer is I like love to go. I do almost too many things and then I like crash.
Yeah.
And I think we're talking about doing that right currently.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
My body's like, if you do one more thing.
I love it.
But one thing I'm really hopeful for this summer is like, I love to go. That's actually like really like life-giving to me, but to be like, able to like rest within. Yeah. Like I mentioned this like last podcast, like episode of just like being able to like go to the beach in the afternoon. And I love like putting away my phone and sitting there until it gets like freezing at the beach. And you're like actually really hungry. You've been there so long.
That's the best.
It is. It's like, so it's just like finding those spaces even within a busy week that you can still like settle down and creating that space in your calendar. I was even like walking home yesterday from a run and like jotting down kind of like anchor points in my week that I'll be like, oh, I'm going to leave this afternoon open just in case I want to go to the beach. And like if anyone can come, like it's not just like needs to be alone, but that way I can like rest throughout.
So good. I love that. Okay. Bucket list items for the summer. I need to actually write mine down.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you my big picture ones. No surprise here. I want to hold a lot of babies.
That's a really good one.
2 of my best friends just had their first babies. One is our dear Anna, who works at Go and Tell Gals. Then our other friend Hensley, who also works at Go and Tell Gals, just had her second baby. I want to hold their babies all summer.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about babies so much and showed off so many pictures at a recent recording that I was at that people thought it was my baby.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking at a church this weekend, Emily, and I genuinely have thought about, like, do I start by putting up pictures of my friends' babies on the screen? Because that's all I'm thinking about. So I want to hold babies all summer. I want to hold them in the middle of the night. I want to take them on walks. I bought my own baby carrier for our friends' babies. Did you know that?
I did know that. I did. We basically are turning our office into a nursery.
We are. I bought a lot of baby equipment for the office, but that carrier, I'm about to put it to good use.
Yeah.
If you see me this summer, I hope you see me with braids in and a baby strapped to my chest. I'm going to Portugal.
Yes.
With my husband, which is like a bucket list for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to be with him, but I'm excited for that with him. I don't love travel the way he loves travel. His favorite place is somewhere he's never been before. My favorite place is somewhere I've been a million times.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay, I'm like Nick.
Yes, he hates going on vacation to the same place every time.
Like, would you be fine going to Disney every summer?
I mean, I wouldn't go to Disney. I want to see the world. I love Disney. If you love Disney, I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying, like, I'm not a Disney person.
We know we talked about this a while ago.
Yeah, but all that being said, I would like to go to this. I would definitely go to like the same beach house every summer with our family. Like that would be really restful to me to not have to figure a new place out. Anyways, but it's a trip of a lifetime for him. It's kind of like his belated 40th birthday trip. So I'm excited for that. And I want to tell you another bucket list thing for me that I'm going to verbalize this better in my own journaling, but I really want to send my kids well this summer. Like my big kids this kind of feels like a summer where they're doing their life, you know?
Yeah.
And I want to do that well. I want to send them well to like go be with their friends and do their thing. And I'm saying that with intention because I don't actually want to do that. I want to keep them on my couch watching like movies and cuddling with me. So I want to send them well. I want that to be a bucket list item for me.
That's a really good one.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to Panama.
Wait, I didn't even know this.
Oh, it's on our calendar. Well, actually, it just says M off. So,
oh,
surprise! I'm going to Panama in June.
Panama Canal?
Yeah, the country.
That's incredible.
Also, really funny story.
I didn't know this.
Taney, she did our photo shoot with us in December. You guys have seen pictures of her. She's coming with me, and she thought we were going to Florida, and so we're not. We are going to Panama City, but we are going to Panama, the country, right before you go to Portugal. And
I did know you were off. I didn't know you were going to Panama.
Yeah, it's also like low key for me.
Yeah.
In terms of I'm going in my favorite way to travel is I'm going with 3 friends who, and I'm not a very like travel with friends kind of person. Like
we've definitely talked about this on the podcast.
And being very specific of like, you don't need to travel with all your friends.
Yeah.
Well, I have chosen was chosen because I've
chosen.
No, I'm pretty easygoing, but the best part is like, if you want me to plan anything for a trip, don't ever have those expectations.
Yeah.
So I will participate. I will give an opinion. I will go wherever you want to go. I might have one idea of what I want to do, but I'm just along for the ride. So my lovely friend Marilyn is sending a million options, and she's just like requesting us on Venmo. And I'm like, I'm there. I'll show up. I'll be at the airport.
I love it.
So that's a really exciting thing for my bucket list. And then we're going back to New York. I don't even know if that was like finalized, I think in the last month. We go to upstate New York. My dad's family lives there. And it's like, think cheaper by the dozen too.
Oh my gosh,
Lake life.
I love you. Because your family is that big.
Our family is cheaper by the dozen too. We are the poor. We're the Bakers and not the Murdochs. I think that's their last name.
I don't know.
Yeah. clearly I've watched this movie too many times in my life. But if you haven't seen that movie, go watch it. You'll understand so much more of my life.
Yeah.
But it's very like lake life, fun, like summer is here.
Yeah.
So just like spending time like getting out of town and really disconnecting. When I like go out of town, I love to be like, hey, pretend I don't live anymore.
Yeah.
And like you can't
forget
call me.
my name.
Yeah, you can't call me. You can't reach me. You can't beat me.
Don't call me. Don't beat me.
I won't be mad if you do, but yeah, it's just really nice to kind of like you live in this limbo.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be like summer. I'm so excited.
I love that for you.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, last question. Then we're getting to our very big news.
I'm so excited.
I know. It's really all we want to talk about.
Yeah.
But this one's good.
This one's so good.
What is a prayer you have for our Go and Tell gal this summer as we send her off? I'll go first.
Okay.
My prayer for you is this. I have coached enough women and I have walked with enough kingdom women to know that there is a tendency to want to kind of spin or strive in the summer. You start feeling like, what am I doing about my God-given calling? What am I doing about my career? What am I doing about my life? Somewhere in the summer. And my prayer for you would be that you would take these weird months where the rhythms are a little bit different and that you would soak up God's presence and power and know that that is actually productive in your calling and in your life. That experiencing Him in these kind of wild seasons where there isn't a lot of moving forward, that is actually incredibly productive. And also that you would take time to get vision for what's next. That you wouldn't just play and that you wouldn't just, I don't know, like enjoy the slow, but that you would also like start to ask God, what do you want life to look like in the fall? What are you doing? Where are you going? And how can I get on board with that? So yeah, that's my prayer.
That's really good.
Oh, thank you.
My prayer is during this summer, my prayer for you is that you would remain present in the things that you do, even in the busyness.
That's good.
I've talked about it before, and one of my really good friends, Ellery, we talk about just like delighting.
Yeah.
And even I used to like be really frustrated at traffic or like the waiting period or like, doing things you don't still want to do or like getting caught up in that. And it's just like being able to like stop and like count your blessings in those moments.
So good.
Like in the transition of like maybe you're taking your kids to like go see their friends and you're like, all I've been doing is driving all day today. Like still being able to be like present in those days and not wishing away the summer.
So good.
Being able to like, I think the problem is like August comes and everyone's like, how was your summer? And everyone's like, oh, it just flew by. I don't even know what I did.
You're right.
And my prayer is just like that you never say those words. That's that good. You like were like, oh, my summer was great and I did this and I learned this and I grew in this space and like I'm hopeful and excited for this. Like to just really like stay present and joyful.
So good. I love that so much. Okay, we're ready.
We're ready.
This has been in the works for the last few months, and we've honestly been, anytime we talk about it and anytime we think about it, we have a smile on our face. So here's the big news. The podcast is changing.
Yes.
So the good news is if you are subscribed to this podcast right now, wherever you listen to podcasts, you're not going to miss out on what's happening. So I would encourage you to subscribe right now. But we want to give you a warning that when the podcast comes back in the fall, and it will, it's going to be very different.
Yes.
It's definitely going to have a new name, and it's going to transition from being a podcast that is under the umbrella of Go and Tell Gals to a podcast that is under the umbrella of me, of my name, Jess Connolly. And I'm saying this so weird because I'm not totally sure what we're going to call it yet. I'm not sure if we're going to call it the Jess Connolly Podcast or if we're going to call it something else. We're still kind of praying about that. But what this means is that really we're going to open up what we talk about in a much, much more broad place. So I don't know if you've noticed, but online, I've been talking a lot about living fully awake. And so to me, that means physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and relationally, just being aware of what God's doing in your life and taking steps forward in that and really enjoying the abundance where God has you. And obviously at Go and Tell Gals, we talk a lot about coaching and calling. So on this new iteration of the podcast, will there still be some coaching? For sure, because I can't help myself. Will we still talk about calling? Occasionally we will, because that matters. But we're also going to talk about living fully awake in our bodies. So we'll be talking about health. We're going to be talking about living fully awake emotionally. So we'll be talking about emotions and processing. We'll be talking about living fully awake mentally. So that's where some of that strategy or planning. How do we rest? How do we work? How do we like get our brains in a place where we can be present, where we can move forward in what God has for us? Living fully awake relationally. How do we love each other well? How do we have relationships that really shine the light of the kingdom? And then, of course, living fully awake spiritually. So we're going to do a lot of spiritual talk too about walking with God and what that looks like. And all that being said, I'm not totally sure what the name is going to be, but it will not any longer be the Go and Tell Gals podcast. So, you correct me if I'm wrong, but if they're subscribed, we believe it'll still be the same feed. It's just the little picture that you look at when you listen to the podcast, and the name will change.
Correct. You'll be able to see all the old podcasts.
You'll be able to see all the old podcasts. Those will all be there, but it'll be kind of like a big refresh, and all of a sudden the episodes will change. So I'm trying to think through questions people might have. Will the team still be on the podcast? Yeah.
It's a great question.
I would say,
thinking about that.
yeah, I would say definitely occasionally, if not every single week. I don't like recording podcasts alone. So we don't foresee that being a situation. I will be doing some interviews. I would love to get my husband on the podcast a little more often.
Oh, definitely.
That's a big goal for me. And actually every professional we've talked to has said like, more Nick, please.
Give the people what they want.
More Nick. And you guys feel that way too. We see episodes with him do really well, but he won't be on every single one, of course. I'm sure I'll have my mom and my sisters on occasionally. And again, yeah, we'll be doing some interviews. Some things I'm excited about it. I'm excited to, it just feels more comprehensive. It feels like we're going to get to talk about more things.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm excited to talk about health. I obviously think about health a ton, and we're not going to talk about it every single episode, but I'm sure once every other month or so, we'll do some kind of like deep dive into health and et cetera. I'm excited to talk about more spiritual things, like more in-depth spiritual issues. I'm excited to have a book club. Did I tell you this?
You did tell me this.
I'm so excited.
It's so exciting.
I think we're going to do a podcast book club. So I'll suggest a book that we all listen to, and maybe then we'll have that author on once a month or once every other month. We'll do something like that to just kind of be reading and learning together. Any other questions you can think of that would be important to answer?
Do we know when it'll come out? Do we want to hold
that is
Thursday?
A good question. I don't know if I want it to come out on Thursday.
See? And these are just things
we don't know.
Like, we don't know.
We're asking. If you guys have any insight, I would say now's your time to tell us. Yeah. If you're like, oh, I would love a Monday podcast.
Ooh.
That's kind of what I'm feeling. I listen to 2 podcasts almost religiously, and they both release episodes on Monday, and I'm so happy on Monday because I get to listen to them. So I would just love to hear, do you guys have a day? Do you guys like some version of the Jess Connolly podcast? I know that feels a little funky, like, but also I don't want to like pigeonhole us into one word or one phrase, but we definitely are playing around with some versions of Fully Awake, Living Fully Awake, etc. Any other questions that you think people might have? Will the tea be on for sure? What day will it come out? We don't know.
Yeah. And the topic, I like the idea of like the topics will range.
Yeah.
Or be more broad. I like that idea.
Yeah.
I'm just excited.
Yeah.
And I think the best part is like ask questions, maybe have answers. As you can tell, a lot of stuff is still up in the air and we're dreaming a lot this summer.
Yeah.
But that's the best part is like a lot of it is in the dream phase.
Yeah.
It's happening, but we get to like, I don't know, it's fun.
Yeah.
Throw a mood board up.
But also again, you just bring all the suggestions.
Yeah. Oh, we love suggestions.
So again, now I feel like a lot of times we'll get it at the end. Somebody will say like, hey, can you do an episode on parenting teens? And I'll think like, no, because I don't know anything about that. But I don't even feel like I can bring in an expert and do an episode on that because this is the Go and Tell Gals podcast and it's really about coaching and your calling. So now if you're like, hey, can you talk more about adrenal fatigue and what you've learned about it? I'm like, yes, I can. And I can bring in an expert to talk about it. Absolutely. We can really open it up a lot more wide. Yeah.
I love it.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
We can't wait. If you are subscribed, nothing will change. Go ahead and subscribe now so that as soon as those episodes do start coming out, you'll see them. I would anticipate, what would you say? An August release or a September release?
I'd say August.
I'd say
You're
August
ready.
too.
We're gonna be ready
I'm ready
August.
now. I want to start recording right now, but I'm going to wait till we have more vision and clarity. So definitely go ahead and subscribe. That will be an August release, and send us all your ideas. You can DM me, Jess A. Connolly, on Instagram. I literally can't wait to hear. But mostly, we want to bless you as this last episode of the Go and Tell Gals podcast. We want to tell you that God is mighty in you. He has equipped you for what he has called you to. He has placed you where you're at on purpose with gifts to use for his glory and the good of others. It has been our honor and joy to coach you and come alongside you in your calling, and nothing's going to change about that. Go and Tell Gals is not going anywhere. And I will definitely, on this new iteration of the podcast, still be doing some coaching and encouraging in your calling. And we are so proud of you, and we cannot wait to see what God does in your life this summer. Let's go. Thanks for joining us for today's podcast episode. If you have a minute, we would be so blessed if you would take a minute to leave a review wherever you've listened to this podcast. You're also welcome and encouraged to share this on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you use social media. We'd also love to hear from you. DM us on Instagram or send us a message on Facebook, shoot us an email. We love to connect with you to hear how we can encourage you and further equip you. God is mighty in you. Let's keep going.